Since I first read Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice in June 2008, I can't remember a single holiday when my mom hasn't given me a new Jane Austen fan fiction novel. For Christmas 2009, I got Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. For Valentine's Day 2010, I got Mr. Darcy Broke My Heart. And for Christmas 2011, I got A Darcy Christmas. So by now, I'm sure you're thinking, Bethany should really be on TLC's My Strange Addiction. After all, Jane Austen was so 19th century, right? Well, I am happy to say that whoever thinks this is now wrong. From social media to Hollywood, there's no denying that Jane Austen is everywhere. There are hundreds of books based on her original novels, dozens of recent film adaptations, and over 600,000 fans of Jane Austen on Facebook alone. Now, I realize that the majority of these fans are probably women, and that women have always made up the majority of Austen's audience. Yet, why is it that our generation in particular has jumped on board the Austen carriage? In my opinion, our current frenzy began when movie producers realized that in order to make Jane Austen sell, they needed to make her works more relevant to modern audiences, aka the modern day women. Therefore, it's not at all surprising that Austen mania began with a wet t-shirt. This scene from BBC's 1995 miniseries, Pride and Prejudice, forever changed how we will look at Jane Austen. Before the miniseries, all previous film versions of Austen's works were stuffy and dull. They focused more on 19th century scenery and clothing than Austen's amazingly complex characters. Now though, creators of Jane Austen adaptations are taking artistic liberties with Austen's classic plotlines and characters by putting a modern twist on them. By featuring a dashing Mr. Darcy, modern producers are successfully luring women back to Austen adaptations. Meanwhile, women are also taking note of Austen's female protagonists and realizing that they're not all that unlike the 200-year-old fictional characters. I can still remember watching the 1995 movie Sense and Sensibility for the first time several years ago. Even though I had read the book and liked its protagonists, I didn't realize how relevant they are to modern women until I saw them come to life on screen. For example, there are plenty of women in my life who exemplify Eleanor's prudent personality, and even those that demonstrate Marion's overzealousness. But even more so, watching Austen adaptations has made me come to appreciate just how flawed Austen's characters are. As much as we hate to admit it, ladies, we are flawed, and we love to find other women who are just as flawed as us. One flaw that I, and perhaps some of you can attest to, is being overly judgmental. In our current world of social media and Facebook, it's pretty easy to cast judgments on people we hardly know. And as it turns out, one of Jane Austen's own characters, Elizabeth Bennet, suffers from the same imperfection. Now, this is not to say that we are shallow creatures content to gloat in others' shortcomings, but we certainly feel better knowing that others share our flaws. Likewise, our society loves Jane Austen because her protagonists confront and successfully overcome their imperfections. As anyone familiar with Jane Austen's works can tell you, her female protagonists show that no matter how flawed they are, all women have the ability to independently resolve their own conflicts. Unfortunately, the same idea is not portrayed by the majority of women we see in our current popular culture. Consequently, women have pushed Austen's female protagonists into the limelight because they exemplify the feminine virtues of strength and independence, two virtues that are hard to come by in our modern world of Snooki and Kim Kardashian. So, to all of you Austen naysayers, be warned. Jane Austen has reclaimed her place in popular culture, and her adoring female fans are going to make sure that it stays this way. And who knows, maybe Santa will bring us all new Jane Austen adaptations for Christmas.